Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our very first town hall this year for the outdoor 2025 season. So if it feels like there's a bit of rust on the saw and some kinks to iron out, that is why. This is numero uno for this year. And we hope that you enjoy it. We hope that we are here to answer all of your questions. And we're really excited to be able to interact with you and share some information tonight and also share into a wonderful conversation. With me tonight is Melissa Collinson. She is our member and operations manager at CMSA. I'm very, very lucky to work with Melissa on a daily basis, and I'm not sure if she would say the same thing about me, but she's going to be helping out with the chat and answering any questions that you may be asking, and just trying to keep things going efficiently here tonight, and also trying to make sure that the information that I share is accurate as well, because Melissa's got a ton of information that I will definitely screw up if I try to ad lib and make it up on the spot. So if you see Melissa in the chat answering some questions, it's probably better than me in the chat at this point. If you can put any comments, questions, anything in the chat function, it keeps things nice and streamlined for us. I know that there's a Q&A function as well, but we would prefer if you keep it into the chat function, because then we've only got one spot to look, okay? I also don't have that up in front of me. I get the presentation and the other side of PowerPoint. So if there's anything that Melissa feels like I need to jump in on or answer, I think I'll be getting a text message, and then we'll go back and we'll jump into the chat there. So with no further ado, thanks again for joining us. And in the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Siksika, the Kainai, the Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. We'll share with you quickly our mission and vision, because this is something that's really core to our why at CMSA and why we do things the way that we're doing things and how we continue to try and push things forward. So we're dedicated to working with our member organizations to develop, organize, and promote opportunities which allow all participants to achieve their full potential in a safe, meaningful, and inclusive environment. Whether you are a coach, a referee, a player, a team manager, anyone involved in the game, we want to help promote opportunities for you and work with our member organizations, our clubs, at the end of the day to be promoting these opportunities and developing them as well. Our vision is elevating and uniting our community through soccer. We've got a beautiful and vibrant community here in Calgary, and we want to make sure that we can unite and elevate it. Our values that we have are around leadership, stewardship, integrity, excellence, and communication. You can read through those, and you can also find those on our website if you want some more information there. And we hope that you will also hold us accountable at the end of the day if we're not meeting these at a really high level and we're not exercising the behaviors that are associated with these values. I've introduced Melissa and probably not done Melissa any justice tonight, but I will introduce myself as well. I'm Jordan Stewart, and I'm the current CMSA technical manager. I'm delighted to work for CMSA and make a massive impact in the game that I love here in Calgary. I've worked with players all the way from U4 to university age players, and previous to me working with CMSA, I worked with Alberta Soccer as their regional coach for the southern half of this province, and was the Alberta Recs director. So my portfolio was all around player development, district outreach, so supporting all of the districts in southern Alberta and in coach education as well. My experience comes from all the way grassroots through to pro clubs, into youth national teams, community outreach services as well, and into the college and university game as well. So if there's anyone who's worked at pretty well every level in Alberta, it might be me and a couple other people. Not that that's a good thing. I'm just saying there's a wide spectrum that I try to approach the job through, and also try to collaborate with the rest of the province as well. I'll start just quickly with a look back before we look forward into 2025 and really celebrate the successes of 2024 and our golden year and our 50th anniversary for CMSA.
And with that, the 2024 season comes to an end.
When I watch that video, I wonder when do any of us sleep really with the crazy amount of things that are produced, all of the games, the tournaments, the events, the fundraising. It doesn't stop. And really, we do it all because of this. We do it all because of the player. And I'd be remiss if I didn't speak to the player pathway here in Canada and maybe give you a broad strokes overview, really about who operates where and how things tend to flow. So, CMSA, you'll see, operates at 1, 2, 3, and 7. And you're probably thinking, well, wait a minute, what happened to 4, 5, 6? Well, 4, 5, and 6 are operated by different entities. So the APDL is your development league, which is your train to train players that are looking to progress their game and looking to flow into let me see here if I can write on the screen, into either high performance programs, whether that was formerly Rex, Whitecaps programs, the Wild, or Cavalry programs, and then look to flow up that chain into senior football and youth and senior national teams at the end of the day, as well as pro club academies. Maybe that doesn't happen for the 1 or 2%, and they end up going up into U Sports or college or NCAA. They play in USL2, they play in League One, they play in UWS. There is a wealth of opportunity here in Calgary for our players to be exposed to different levels and to different styles of the game as well. And hey, if that doesn't happen as well, you can always flow through back upwards into men's and women's leagues, into our co-ed leagues, into major leagues, into competitive for life leagues for adults as well. And so we try to operate 1, 2, 3, and 7, the absolute best that we possibly can, and then we integrate with partnerships and other sort of agreements into the rest of those levels. Very broad strokes. Okay, so we're skimming the surface there. There's a lot that goes on behind one image, and it's very complicated to try and get it into one image. And what I'll speak to tonight really is rooted a lot in long-term player development. So this was developed in 2008, 2009, when the Canadian sports system was undergoing a massive transformation and a massive transition, really, to provide age and stage appropriate guidelines for athletic development. So you'll see here, it's learn to train, your U10s and U11s that we're talking about tonight. Everything is rooted in that. And this next document that you'll see, we'll work through this a little bit tonight, and we'll be very transparent where we are and where we aren't right now. But this is the Canada Soccer Grassroots Standards. This document is the modernization of what LTPD is and how it really gets delivered onto the grass at a club level, at a district level, at a provincial level, to make sure that there's alignment through this country. So that's gone through an evolution stage from LTPD into the Canada Soccer Grassroots Standards version 1, and now we're even into version 2 here right now. This has just been released. This is going to become part of the rules and regs for Canada Soccer and all member organizations as of 2026. So the big World Cup year, all eyes on us. We'll make sure that things get aligned and standardized. How some of those things boil down at a district level is we look to produce what's called the CMSA Program Handbook. And this document's available on our website. And it's really the key guiding document that we give the clubs in early to mid December of the season prior to say this is what the season's going to look like, so they can then build their registration packages off of it. What I would ask you to do is to reflect on your club's registration package. Find this on our website. I believe it's under League, Rules and Forms, and it's the second tab down. If you click on that, it takes you straight to it. And really review and compare, is your club's registration information accurate? And is it aligned to what we're saying as well? Where are the discrepancies? Why do those discrepancies exist? Because it will allow you to ask some really great questions. I want to also take a second to applaud all of our clubs for their efforts in becoming licensed clubs within Canada Soccer. This is no small feat, whether you're a National Youth Club license holder or Standards for Quality Soccer, SQS holder. All of these clubs have been put through an evaluation and met criteria that have given them their club license. So SQS will go through 30-odd criteria around administration, technical, governance, finance, etc. And National Youth Club license holders will go through approximately 130, 140-odd criteria. I'm sorry, the numbers escape me right now. There's a lot in my brain and a lot going on, but much more criteria for National Youth Club license and much more expected of them as well in terms of pathway and in terms of resources and things like that. What I don't want to have happen is I don't want to have people say, well, National Youth Club license holder is better than SQS. There's just more criteria to satisfy, and it's more, there's a lot more to be built out. What I would say is there are fantastic clubs at both levels of club licensing. And keep in mind, this is the top and the bottom essentially, or the beginning and the end. There's still 2 levels of club licensing in between there as well that we haven't rolled out here in Alberta yet. So what I would say is if you're thinking, oh, well, I need to move to this club or that club because of this. Well, no. Does your child love their coach? Do they love the players that they're playing with? And is it close to home and easy for you? Because if those 3 questions are yes, yes, and yes, you've probably got a really, really great home right now, and there's no real need to move. We at CMSA get a ton of questions around this. Well, what does CMSA do? Do I reach out to you for my schedules? I don't have my practice schedule yet. Who do I talk to for what? And really part of this is important to have some clarity so that you know as well. And so what CMSA does is we will schedule all of the matches in your season. We work a ton with the member clubs to put all of the teams in the most fitting division, and I'll talk about how we've done that. We put coaches through formal coach education and training, and we also provide all of the U7 to U9 grassroots league jerseys for the clubs who order them. And I'm going to be really clear about that last part, for the clubs who order them. Some clubs don't go through this, and that's totally fine. But that is what we do in terms of jerseys. If we look at what your club does, your club is going to organize all of your child's practices and training sessions. Your club is going to place your child onto a team within that club. Your club's going to find, retain, and develop its coaches. And your club's going to order all the jerseys for the players in the U10 to U19 leagues. Okay, so if you don't have practice schedules, if you don't know what team you're on yet, if you don't have jerseys, the key message is you need to go and speak with your club that you've registered with. Okay, they all function and operate slightly different, but that is who you need to go and speak to. And again, a little more clarity maybe on what this club licensing has done and some of the impacts. Well, club licensing has impacted essentially coaching standards in a massive way at the grassroots level. And when I say grassroots level, I'm talking about pretty much all of youth amateur football in this city, especially U13 and below. Okay, there's two pieces. There's a modified safe sport roster and there's a full safe sport roster. And what the criteria is different for those. So we worked many years ago with our clubs to say, where is the line in terms of what your coaches need to be eligible, and where is the line when they need to fulfill a full safe sport roster? And this is the guidance that they gave us, and kind of where it all shook out was our U3, U4s all the way through to U11s is a modified safe sport roster, and a U12 plus is a full safe sport roster requirement. So what does that look like in practicality? Well, what that looks like is you've got and this is the U12 plus document, so I'll be concise on what the 10s and 11s looks like. You've got your police clearance. So coaches are screened with a vulnerable sector search. They complete Respect in Sport activity leader that addresses bullying, abuse, harassment, and discrimination in sport, and how to actively be reducing that and eliminating that from sport. They then will do a choose your own adventure, as you can see from that step. And the theory portion of the learn to train must be completed. So U10 to U12, so U10 and 11. And the practical portion, U10 to U11. Okay, then it stops. The additional bits for all of the U12 plus are down here in these blue. We would love it if these coaches were to do that as well. There's some fantastic information. However, sometimes we know time, money, energy, etc. is a deterrent. So we're trying to lessen the burden on some of these coaches as well. What we've asked our clubs to do from an SQS, from a club licensing, from a coaching standards lens, is to be accountable, but also monitor. So they will fill out a massive coach database that says, is this coach eligible or are they not? And we've worked through that for probably 2 years now, and working with our clubs to try and bring up their standards and levels of eligibility within their club. What we're no longer accepting is putting one person on all of the club rosters with one of those criteria to fulfill it across all rosters. No, each coach is going to be doing this, because the clubs have got to be held accountable at some level, and they've got to do what's right, not always what's easy. And their willingness to adhere to basic standards will determine their longevity in soccer. It's not a threat. This is just the reality of where the game is going now. So there's a question in the chat that says, if your child is playing at a higher level, would it be in their interest to play in a club that is National Youth Club licensed rather than SQS? Are kids that go through these clubs likely to move to a higher level later on? It's a fantastic question. Here is what I would say about some of the differences and nuances between National Youth Club licensing and SQS. Players that are at a National Youth Club license will be deemed MLS homegrown as a status in North America. So what does that mean? Well, being an MLS homegrown player means that you are now eligible to play for any MLS team, not as a designated player or as any sort of import. So if Orlando City wanted to sign your child at 18 years old, no problem. They're no longer an import or a designated player because they've come through a National Youth Club license holder and through that club. So it gives the player a different status within the MLS. Now that's on the male side. There is nothing like that yet on the female side of the game. Okay? So a massive benefit there. I don't think it's been worked out on what it looks like on the female side yet. What I would say in terms of choosing your child's environment is, do they love the coach? Do they love their teammates? And are they enjoying their experience? What you're going to get could be a little different at SQS or National Youth Club license, or it could be the same. But are they enjoying their experience? Do they love their coach? And do they love their team? Because if you have those three things, the child stays within the game. The child keeps playing. The child keeps developing. And what I've always found through many years in talent ID, talent development in this province and in this country, is when you're good enough, the game finds you. So You have to get good enough first, and the game will find you. There are loads of examples. Gauthier Natigny, who came from Coaldale, Alberta, that is now playing in, it's either Ligue 1 or Ligue 2 in France, and was Cavalry's record transfer fee, and at the time, a CPL record transfer fee from Coaldale, Alberta. We see players from Airdrie. We see players from Fort McMurray, from Grand Prairie. We see players from all over the province and all over the place that don't necessarily come from a National Youth Club license club, but they find their way. They find their way. And when you're good enough, the game will find you and people talk about you, because people love to try and help out these players to progress to another level. Okay, I'll get back into things and try and tie some bits together. We talked about the coach eligibility. We talked about some of those standards. Well, what is it? Well, we've simplified the chart a little bit and tried to really be concise with coaches. So previously in CMSA, before all of this, it was just police clearance, respect in sport. Now, as I've told you, you need to do the theory portion of that. And we're highly recommending that the coaches do the practical as well. Okay, so we've added on a theory portion to that, and we're recommending that you do the practical as well. There's some great tools. You can register through the CMSA registration portal on the website, and look forward to working with you. Here are the dates of upcoming courses. If you are a coach and you are curious, you want some more tools in the toolbox, and you want to come and work with a learning facilitator who's a high-level coach, very experienced. All of the people that we used are some of the best probably in Western Canada, honestly, because we want to try and make our coaches the best that they possibly can. You can have a look on that, and all of those dates are open for registration as well on our website. If you're curious and you don't want to do anything formal, there's lots of stuff out there. Our own technical culture series that's on YouTube, on CMSA's YouTube, provides a lot of coach education informally and some cool ideas that you might want to try. MLS Next has got a goalkeeper education series as well, if you're interested in how to work better with goalkeepers, or if your child's maybe a goalkeeper. There's some body confidence sport webinars that are going on right now, and Making Headway has undergone a refresh. And if you want any info about that, please email us at info@calgaryminersoccer.com, and we'll be sure to get back to you and chat about that. This is some of the ugly stuff, unfortunately. And I have to say it, that there is a coach's code of conduct, and this is what this is. That you probably don't even know that this exists, but it is in our rules and regs. This is what we hold coaches to, and these are the standards of behavior that we expect of our coaches. We want to emphasize that the standards that we accept are going to either tarnish the game or elevate the game. And so we expect a really high standard of everyone, and we want people to expect that as well. So I'd encourage you, if you're a coach, to go through this code of conduct. If you disagree with things, please reach out. I'm going to skip ahead to this one because this flows a little better. And as I said, the session might be a little rusty. There might be a slide or two out of place here or there. But we're all going to set the standard of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, who's on this call tonight. So in your leagues, and I'll talk about what a teal shirt referee is shortly, you're going to have a lot of brand new referees. For some reason, and I have no idea why, the U10s and U11s are our worst age groups in terms of parent and coach behavior. No idea why. There's no scores, there's no standings, there's a lot of modified laws, there's a lot of things put in place to help these kids enjoy the game in a safe manner. For some reason, as soon as a referee stands on a field, behavior changes. So I'm asking you to please keep your behavior in check, and to also help us to make sure that other people on the sideline are as well. Because when you wrestle with pigs, you just get covered in you know what, and the pig actually enjoys it. Okay, so think about that, reflect on that a little bit, because our standard of behavior needs to improve, especially with this cohort in this league. Not blaming anyone on the call, you're clearly very curious, but you are now our champions on the field. Okay? And when we talk about people who are going to help us in those behavioral examples and trying to keep a lid on things, we have field marshals at all games. And these are parent volunteers that wear a designated orange armband. And really, it's to speak up on behalf of the referee among the players, among the parents and spectators. Because we are taking a very, very hard line on abuse towards referees. We just will not be tolerating it. There is a zero tolerance policy in effect. There are forms to fill out to easily submit when referee abuse happens, and we are not going to be tolerating this. Okay, the key bits are to cheer, not critique, and all of the field marshals are going to be involved in a pre-game chat with the referees, with the coaches, and with the team captains. This was something that was launched in indoor. I wouldn't say that it was launched amazingly because, again, new initiatives take time to get off the ground and become normal. So we are going to look for this more and more and more at every single game. Okay, this is going to become a key piece of what we do. And what does that pre-game script look like? Well, the referee is going to call the field marshals over after they check the field, the balls, they do all their administrative duties, and it's going to be about refreshing people on their roles. So field marshals, please help in ensuring parents and spectators are supportive of the kids on the field and producing a positive sporting environment. Team officials, that's coaches, team managers, please coach and support your players. Simple. That's it. That's it. That's what your job is. That's what you're there to do. Captains, this is what you can expect from me today and how I prefer to referee. I'll give some examples. And as a referee, I've made a commitment and am learning. I'm looking for your support today and to have empathy. Let's have a great game. Okay? So there's something around that that we all need to be aware of and cognizant of as well. There's a question in the chat. Are there team captains at U10? That is up to your team. That is up to your club. It might be a rotating captain. It might be one person. That's how your club is going to operate. Okay. I'm going to dovetail into the referees now in terms of what we are doing and what we are trying to do with referees. You'll see here on your screen 2 bits. So we have the Women and Girls in Soccer initiative in terms of Empower Her, and we've got the referees. So I'm going to start with the referees, and then we'll go into what we're trying to do with the women and girls in the game as well. So with our referees, we're putting on extra entry-level courses. We are going to be recruiting and have been recruiting ahead of this outdoor approximately 300 new referees. This is including the junior officiating program that we've launched in partnership with the high school leagues, and we're bringing in more referees through the high school leagues as well to be ARs, to be trained as center referees, etc. We've got female-only courses. We've launched She Can Ref, which is a way to connect all of the female referees in this city to share, to help them develop, to put them in a safe environment that they feel comfortable in as well. We've got Project Ref going with Kids Sport, which will provide any child who has Kids Sport funding free referee training as well as all of their gear. So please visit the Kids Sport page if you are one of those families who accesses Kids Sport funding. The Teal Shirt campaign, which is around acknowledging that some of these referees are brand new. It will actually say on the back of their shirt, first year referee. So if that's not a big enough stop sign for you to close your mouth on the sideline and not question these kids who are learning that could be as young as 12 and 13 years old, then I'd suggest you go to hockey or basketball or volleyball or some other sport and please leave. I can't ask you nicer than that. We're also wrapping everything up in a mentorship program where these new referees will have mentors at their first game for sure, and 4 out of their first 20 games. We know that's not enough. We know that's not robust enough, but that's where we are in terms of budgeting and capacity. We want to shrink that down to 4 in the first 12 in the next few years here. We're educating our mentors. We've got monthly education sessions for referees to attend as well, and a zero tolerance policy. So we've heard the cries that we need more referees and we need better referees. No problem. We are working our backside off to make that happen. We need your support because the referees you see today are going to be your tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 referees when your kids are U14 and U15. But if they don't stick around right now, there is no hope that they get to that level, and the quality of officiating will not improve, and we will continue to spin our wheels. I've touched on what the zero tolerance policy is. It is reportable by any person. It allows the referee to say, woof, no, timeouts, I'm not having this anymore. Until things cool down, we're not going to continue playing. It also gives them the power to completely abandon matches and not have them replayed. So if they feel like they're being harassed, discriminated against, bullied, abused, they can say, you know what, thanks very much. I'm done today and I'm out. And they can leave. They still get paid. The match is not going to be rescheduled or replayed. And really, when that happens, there's going to be other things that come down the pipe for those groups as well. The key takeaway for coaches is to coach, not question, for parents to cheer, not abuse, and for players to play, not dissent. Okay? If you're at a game and you have a referee no-show, this happens. People get sick last minute. They have to run to the hospital. Their car breaks down. This stuff happens. And we work super hard to make sure that we get a new referee. But if this happens, both teams have to agree on who's going to be refereeing the game. Okay? The game still goes ahead and gets played. And you can split the game in terms of refereeing duties into two halves. So maybe one team is one team provides for the other half. Ask your parents and siblings that are present if one of them's a trained referee. They can step in and do the game, and I'm pretty sure they get paid as well. So there's a bit of a benefit for them there. Okay? I said that I would speak to some of the pieces that we're trying to put in place for the women and girls. We launched She Can Ref, which I spoke about. There's 2 female-only entry-level courses, which were completely full of young women who want to become referees, because the staggering stat is, even though the Wild kicked off in BC Place last week there is not a single female official in Calgary that can referee in the NSL. We don't have one single female official that's at that level. And that's a travesty for a city like this. So we need to be recruiting more. We need to be helping them develop and making sure that there's a clear pathway for them as well. We also host Free Soccer Friday on International Women's Day, or the day before, on March 7th, where we encourage young girls to come out and just try the game. Because we have got tremendous role models in this city in terms of women and girls who have made their way through the pathways. Kaylee Hunter, Maya Jones, Kaylee Books, Grace Storty, and heaps of them in universities and colleges that are tremendous role models for our young girls and women to be following in. We've got a few tournaments and events that we'd want to advocate for and make sure that you know about. So if you're interested in any tournaments or potentially the golf tournament, we'd love to have you out. There are more than 23, I believe, teams from out of town in the Victoria Cup. I'm not sure if registration's full there yet, but you can always reach out and ask the question. We're holding our 2nd annual golf tournament, the Fairway for Footy, so we're encouraging people to buy a foursome, to maybe sponsor a hole, to come out and support the game and try and give back to the game a little bit there as well. And then lastly, if you've got younger kids in your household, the Grassroots Rally is at the end of June there. Calgary Cup is July 4th to 6th this year in terms of a summer tournament for you to attend. Registration's opened. I know that registrations are trickling in and coming in right now. And then also there's the fall series as well into September. And there will be another competition, likely a tournament that's added over the Thanksgiving break here in Calgary. So something to keep in mind as well if you're curious and around. Other pieces that we're working on and that we run all the time. Free Soccer Friday is a tremendous community initiative that's a drop-in and unstructured soccer environment. So what does all of that mean? Well, it means essentially no adults allowed. Because really the only thing we can do as adults is probably screw it up. So we're saying, hey, don't show up, don't screw it up. So we're giving the game back to the kids. We're having them develop some social skills, some communication, some leadership, advocating, some problem solving, even sometimes some dispute resolution in that environment. It's completely unstructured, so they can show up, they can just bang a ball against a wall if they want. They can organize a 3v3, a 20v20. It doesn't matter to us, but they can make their games how they want. And we're really trying to connect the community because well, I shouldn't say all of, a heavy portion of research around talent development is around open access to facilities, unstructured environment, and mixed age play. So if you think about top players making it into the top levels, well, you've got South London being a hotbed, the kind of outskirts of Paris where all of the street courts are. You've got the Cruyff courts in Holland. You've got these five-a-side dingy courts in Berlin and Munich and Germany that are producing these players that aren't coached. They play though, and they're tremendous players. So how can we distill some of these learnings and give the game back to the kids a little bit here in Calgary? The next 3 dates are on your screen: May 2nd, May 9th, May 16th at Genesis, Calgary Soccer Center, and Calgary Soccer Center again. There is a sign up and a waiver that has to go through to join in, and all of that's available on our website under the events tab, I believe is where it's located now. Ahead of outdoor, you need to be aware of these pieces as well in terms of the lightning and adverse weather policy. So we align to Alberta Soccer's policy there that it's around when thunder roars, go indoors. So I know when I was growing up as a kid playing in and around Edmonton, it was always, can you see lightning? And then can you count the seconds until you hear the thunder? Well, nothing ever happened until it was shorter than 10 seconds at that time. We've evolved, as most things do, and we've gotten a little better and we've gotten a little safer with this. So when you hear thunder, it's going to shut down. And it's going to shut down for 30 minutes minimum. And that 30-minute timer restarts every time there's a thunderclap. Okay? That is the policy. Your clubs better be following this policy with their training sessions as well, and your coaches, because this is about safety. The last thing we want to do is have some child struck by lightning when we're not following these policies. So people on the call, again, you're now aware, you are the champions to enforce that one as well. The air quality policy as well is ever kind of evolving and changing a little bit, and I would expect that maybe some of this will be modified as we work through another outdoor season and maybe another smoky summer here in Calgary. But again, we want to make sure that things are safe and that the air that these children and that we're all breathing is safe as well. And that if it is at a certain number or higher, games are going to be delayed or rescheduled. And I think this has been built out even more detail. I'm looking at Melissa maybe on the screen to maybe do this or do this. But it is quite robust in terms of what we use and how that works. Melissa, do you want to add anything in there?
Yeah, I just am going to add a quick note just to say that I know that Alberta Soccer has been looking a little bit at changing this policy. So what you see today very well could change over over this season and even within the season. And should that happen, we will be sure to communicate that out as soon as we have more details.
Yeah, awesome. I appreciate that, Melissa. The only thing constant in the game is change. So if you're change resistant, youth sport and sport might not be the home for you. I will put it that way. Good. I know I keep talking about a lot of things that you're probably like, yeah, give me the U10, U11 info. Well, I'm doing this on purpose because this is really, really important as well. Okay. This is maybe the most important campaign that we're running right now. It's called Fields for Our Future. And if you have not seen it, I would be shocked. You probably have no social media. You don't read a single email that we send and never visit our website or tune into any sort of local media around here. What this is an advocacy platform to elected officials about how dire the state of soccer is here in Calgary. Because we are literally out of space. And what we currently have access to is not keeping up with the standards of where the modern game is going. We have aging facilities that lack amenities, i.e., spectator viewing. And I'm sure everyone here on the call would agree that the indoor facilities that are used don't have tremendous spectator viewing. Our outdoor fields are worn down, they're very poorly maintained, and they are not built to support the game of today and the game of the future. So here's the awareness. Indoor, this coming indoor season will likely have a no vacancy sign. There will likely be capped leagues and programs at numerous age groups. I would say do not be shocked if children are turned away from playing the game, because we are growing like crazy. 10% year over year. Our conservative estimates is that in 4 years' time, there will be another 15,000 players playing the game here in Calgary. That's conservative, because we anticipate, and all of the stats show, that after a home nation hosts a World Cup, there's a 30% boost in participation. Okay? People are probably going, well, why do we need more indoor facilities? We're talking about outdoor right now. Totally. For me, I'd want to know that my game is 100% going ahead in a climate-controlled environment that has an air purifying unit, so that I know there's zero risk that that game's getting rescheduled and messing up with my holiday plans through the summer. So it's also an outdoor, full year-round accessible facility. Okay? What are we looking for? We're looking for field houses, not bubbles. We're looking for hard-walled, top-of-the-line facilities to have year-round play and enable current training spaces to be freed up and current fields to be freed up for existing training as well. We want to enhance the existing infrastructure. So the spaces that we have to play on, bring the standards up to bring up the levels of safety and playability so players at all levels receive a quality experience. And we also want an increased collaboration with the city in the design of what these soccer spaces are like, and that we as soccer receive proportional access to city-owned soccer spaces. Take, for example, the Shouldice Bubble, the new Calgary Soccer Center Field 1, the dome that's being built there. These are soccer spaces at its core. Shouldice is a shared, maybe football as well, right? But these are soccer spaces. So we want to make sure that we are front of line and front of mind. The campaign so far. So if you haven't seen it, this is where we're at so far. 2,500 people have signed up and are supporters. That's about 5% of our membership. My view, probably not high enough. And if you want to make actual change, 5% isn't going to do it. So if you haven't signed up, please go and find this on our website. Maybe Melissa will share the link in the chat and get signed up. It is dead simple. 2 clicks, sends an email to all of the elected officials in your area. We've had 1.9 million impressions on the social ads. We've engaged with 12 government officials to date, and there's been over 20 media stories around this. So where are we going this, and what are we doing? We're going to continue to advocate. We're developing business plans to demonstrate the need and opportunities, and we're encouraging all of the mayoral candidates to take the pledge that essentially says, I'm committing to soccer and to prioritize this sport in city council. You'll see on LinkedIn, if you look up any of the mayoral candidates, that some of them are doing it. We've met with Mayor Jody Gondik as of, I think it was last Wednesday, and been advocating there as well. What do we need from you? This is the most important QR code you're going to see tonight. We need you to join. We need you to sign up as a supporter, and we need you to share this campaign with your friends, with your parents, with your neighbors, with whoever you can get to send emails and continue to advocate. It's really, really simple. If you want more information about this, contact Leslie McLeod, who's our communications and marketing manager, and the email is there on your screen. There's some questions here. Melissa, I'm assuming this one here. How many indoor facilities do we need to sustain the forecasted growth? What's wrong with the bubbles? They seem the cheapest viable option. Is that the question that you shot me over? So how many do we need right now? Currently, I believe we're 5 facilities short. That's how many hours we are deficient, and somehow we still make it happen. 5. What we're asking for is 8. We're asking for 8 facilities. Question about what's wrong with the bubbles? Well, bubbles are great. Not going to complain about bubbles. Bubbles also have a pretty finite lifespan. Bubbles don't optimize spectator viewing. It's really tough to host marquee events in. It's not going to raise the standard of the game. We are looking for hard-walled facilities at the end of the day that meet a certain threshold and standard, that don't have a roof that's 20 feet high, that we can't really utilize. We're looking for certain specs, and we're advocating for certain things to make sure that the game continues to move forward. Any others, Melissa, or just that one?
No, but I did just want to add to that. When we talk about being 5 facilities short, that's because right now, the only thing that's getting into these facilities for the most part are our league games. There are lots of your clubs, lots of you who are currently training in gymnasiums where you have different footwear, different flooring, different everything, and it doesn't lend itself to that development. And so when we're advocating on behalf of you guys, we're also advocating to ensure that your kids are training in the same types of spaces that they are playing in.
Yeah, it's a great point. Great point. And there's a comment in the chat around one of the facilities that we use to host games. That facility was originally built just to be a training facility. That facility was never built to host games, and that was never really the initial thought behind that. So some maybe context there as well as to maybe why some of the viewing experience isn't tremendous in some of the facilities as well. We have launched a couple of summer camps. If you want your kids to go and be active for a couple of weeks throughout the year, or sorry, 1 week, depending on their gender identity, then here's an opportunity for them. Registration is on our website. This is something new and launched this year. We are taking a full day approach, a multi-sport approach as well to these, to give kids a bit of a different experience as well, and to have a great time for a week with them. The list that you are seeing in terms of what the activities are is the start. There is literally new stuff being added almost on a weekly basis right now, and I am blown away by what this is going to look like. So again, if you want your kids involved in a bit of a summer camp, no problem. We would love to have them, and love to hang out with them for a week and help them both love the game, but also love some other activity and do some other fun things as well that they're going to walk away with some tremendous experiences. Okay, this is the moment everyone's been waiting for, and I think we've only lost 3 people up until now, Melissa. So we are smashing it right now. U10s, U11. So I said that we would revisit the Canada Soccer grassroots standards, right? What we did when this was published, and even a little bit before it was published, was we started to do this. We went, where are we right now, current day? Because I hope that this helps answer some of the pre-questions that some people have submitted as well. Are we compliant with the standard? Is it not applicable to what we do? Do we need dispensation because there is a dispensation allowance within these standards? Or are we just straight up not compliant? And so what I did is I went through every single one and looked at what we did. And you'll see on your screen where we are current day right now. Okay? I'm not afraid to show this to people because this is a mark of accountability, right? And a mark of transparency. Our survey results from indoor and a couple of the ones past say, well, we want more transparency. No problem. Here's the behind the curtain. We'll show you how the sausage is made, okay? We're compliant with the season length. Practice to match ratio is determined by your club. The structured practice duration is determined by your club. Number of match days per week. We aim with the best of intentions to have one match a week. That is where we start. And then there's locusts and smoke and rain and tournament rescheduling and whatever else that generally leads to a backlog or 2 games in a week or sometimes 3 games in a week near the back end of the season, right? So technically, we're not compliant with that. But if we wanted to be compliant, we would say you can't reschedule for a tournament. If games aren't played or aren't able to be played, there's no reschedules. So we could take a very hard line, but we're very flexible with that and flexible in the non-compliance. You will see working down this channel, and this document's available all over the internet. So you can go and do this analysis for yourself as well and see if I'm lying or not. Where we are not compliant with the 10s and 11s is on match day roster size. Alberta Soccer's rules allow for a maximum of 20 players on a roster. We have aligned to that. Now, this document has come out after that, so we are curious to see if Alberta Soccer will realign and rejig their rules, which will then have a waterfall effect. What I would say is most of our clubs are very responsible with how big of rosters they put in, and they really, really do fall within that kind of 14 to 16, I would say, kind of players for these age groups. Okay, so our clubs actually do a decent job there. We are not compliant in terms of pass and dribble in. And we'll talk about what the dribble in is. Dribble in is here in a moment, but we're not compliant because there isn't a pass in. That's okay. It will come. And it will likely come as early as indoor when we develop the education, when we build it, when we consult with the clubs, and we build this thing together. You'll also see that we are not compliant in the U10s and 11s with where the retreat line is. Canada Soccer wants the retreat line at 1/3 of the field. No problem. Again, we'll redevelop the education. We'll figure out how it operationalizes in indoor and in outdoor in terms of lines getting painted, if it's cones, if it's flags, whatever it looks like on the field to make this stuff happen. So we're that close. And one of the questions that we typically get is, why are the rules so different around Alberta? We go to Okotoks and it's different. We go in to play a tournament in Edmonton and it's different. Now that you know what's expected of the 10s and 11s, dribble-ins, pass-ins, retreat lines, etc., I would ask you, who is failing and who is not being compliant with the standards? Because CMSA has been a very early adopter of this. CMSA has been a very early innovator within this space, and we have dove 2 feet into the pool with this. There is a ton of land in this country that still cannot do this and still are not aligning to this yet. Keyword, yet. And I'm eager to see what happens with that. Okay? That's why things differ. We're aligned or really, really, really close. I would ask you, are others? The back page. Back page looks like this for the 10s and 11s. You will see something to do with coach education here and what the standards are there. This you can expect to change in the coming probably year and a half. We're waiting on some clarity there. You will see here player to coach ratio. Again, club controls that. You'll see team travel time that we're asking for dispensation across this whole this whole age stage and the whole gamut. Why? Because there are some leagues like a U13, I don't know, tier 3, tier 4, etc. league that we will have a West Hills team play a Strathmore team or Springbank playing Strathmore. And the travel time may be over an hour to make that game happen. So we're going to be upfront and say, hey, in some of our leagues, this happens. We don't want it to happen. We want to keep it as close to home as possible. But sometimes this stuff happens. So we're asking for dispensation around that. Okay? You'll see here things around open rosters that allow your children to play in different teams without any sort of call-up restrictions. You will see things coming into place that teams cannot be formed using tryouts or other similar evaluation methods. I cannot wait for that to happen. It's going to cause some problems. It's going to cause some headaches. It's going to cause some uncertainty. It will be a great step forward. It's not in there yet, but it's also a club piece. You will also see tiering of players is not permitted before U10. We're not going to tier them. Okay? Where we are not compliant right now with the 10s and 11s, it's essentially right here. I'm sorry that you can't see it at the top, is scores and standings in tournaments. Our tournaments upcoming are going to have scores and standings. I'm expecting that to become the way of the dodo a little bit, and you're going to see tournaments gradually take a different form at some of these age groups. Okay? That's an overview of where we're compliant, where we're not compliant, and where things are going. Okay? Current day, though. Melissa's giggling, I can tell. She's like, holy smokes, he's still going. Current day. We've got Dev and we've got Dev Plus, right? Dev, regionalized play with a shorter schedule and clubs we encourage to place their house league teams here. It's a 10-game season that starts May 3rd, ends July 13th in a 7v7 format, right? There's probably questions around, wait a minute, you had to combine a whole bunch of things and shift things around, etc., etc. Well, yeah, we have to based on the number of teams that get submitted. And we do that process in a collaborative manner with our clubs. We actually bring in all of the technical leaders in an evening. We feed them. We set them all in a room and we say, right, what team needs to move where so that they have meaningful competition and a great experience this season? And they challenge each other. They'll say, no, that team's a good team. They shouldn't be there. They need to go into there. They need to go down there, or this will be better. And we rejig everything when we see it up onto a screen or when it's all up on a wall. Okay? So things do change a little. And we're sorry that it changes. We don't want to have it changed. We want to have like a northwest, a southwest, a northeast, and a southeast kind of quadrant based for these developmental players. Dev Plus, citywide play. It's a longer schedule. There's going to be 1, 2, 3 subgroups as well. Again, players can flow through team to team, right, in an open roster format to find meaningful competition in there because they all develop at different rates. There's 14 games. It's a bit of a longer season, and it kicks off, I think that's this Saturday, right? And finishes on July 28th. You'll see as well a 7v7 format. Melissa said there is loads of questions in the chat. Or a question here. Explain how tryouts is a bad thing for placing players, especially at the Dev Plus level. Sure, no problem. There is literally no research, well, that I've found, or that any colleagues that do this have found, that correlate early talent ID at 9, 10 years old with elite level performance, or that it produces better outcomes long term in terms of retaining players in the game. There's no research that suggests it. We have a professionalization of the game where there's academies. Well, academies are attached to a pro club. So whatever grassroots club calls their extra training an academy, it's not an academy. It's just extra training. Let's be honest about what it is. An academy is in a pro club. But these pro clubs have professionalized things so much that there's U6, U7 pro club teams. Now, those kids are not in there from U6 to a first team. Those kids might do a day in that club. They might do a day over in that club. They play in their grassroots club, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, in different areas of the world. So when we talk about tryouts being a bad thing, they might not be the most optimal way of seeing what a player can do, who they are, especially in a pressure-filled and stressful environment, and in a 1 or a 2 off. So, okay, you've got a bad day. Now you've got one chance to continue playing with your friends. Is that the most beneficial thing for a child? I don't know. I can think of maybe some better solutions in terms of, no problem. we'll put you here, but since it's an open roster system, maybe you'll play one game a month there, you'll train with that team, you can move over into that group as well, and be very flexible in terms of placement over a longer period of time than in a short and compressed time period. Okay? Dev Plus is not a tiering system. And this is the problem, is the language and the terminology has gotten, the only word in my mind is molested, to fit a narrative to sell a program. And so what that narrative is, you know what, I'll just dive into it. Give me a moment. Is this. Here is the definition. And when I talk about alignment, this is what I mean. We'll go here. Dev and Dev Plus definitions. This is what we have defined what they are. Dev Plus. Does your kid love soccer? Do they love soccer? That's simple. I could be awful. Have 3 legs when you watch me play. Not know if the ball is blown up or stuffed. But I love the game. Super passionate. I want a full-time program. Year-round, probably. That's what I do. I'm a footballer. I love the game. Messi's my favorite player. I go to sleep in the Barcelona bedspread. I sleep with a ball. But I'm awful. Should that exclude me from receiving a certain standard of coaching and environment and training when we have no idea what I turn out as an 18-year-old, as a 22-year-old, as a 30-year-old? Maybe I want more activity per week. I want to just train more. I want to get better. I'm hungry. That's what Dev Plus is. This gets tweaked, molested, modified, changed, whatever, because people need a narrative, because they need to have a tier. My kid's great. And the kid needs to have some sort of validation. People are going to disagree with me. No problem. Hockey does it that way. Basketball does it this way. Blah, 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 blah. Could you imagine if basketball said, right, here's the tall kids league. Here's the short kids league. They don't do that. They coach the kids that are in front of them. They work with them. Developmental looks like this. Maybe you love a variety of activities. You go off camping loads in the summer. You play music, you dance, you do any sort of other activities or sports. Or maybe you're just not looking for a full-time program. You're looking for something a little more relaxed. Less activity per week. No problem. You could be unbelievable. You could be the best 9 or 10-year-old in the city. Who are we to say that they need to play in our interpretation of what Dev Plus means in Tier 1 U10 or U11 soccer? There's no tiers in this stuff. They're kids. Lots of them play with their friends. I bet some of them still sleep with a teddy bear at night. And yet we're trying to sort the cream of the crop from everyone else, because when you do that at these early age groups, when clubs struggle to manage the scale that they are at, guess who the better coaches work with? The better players at these young age groups. So what happens to all the rest of them that maybe have a chance to develop? Well, they get cast aside, or maybe they get a lower standard of coach. So are we really going to say that we're going to just invest in the top X amount of 9-year-olds in this city? No. Not good enough for me. Not good enough for me. And if it sounds like you've struck a nerve, there is a bit of a struck a nerve here, because it is getting warped and twisted, and we're putting together a group of clubs to bring this back aligned and to really get this sorted out over the next year to 18 months. So your group will probably be long gone out of this, but the next cohort that's coming in will have this a little more aligned. What you will see in your leagues, for sure, because I've gone through a pile of age exemption applications today, is age exempt players. So formerly it was called biobanding, right? This is a player placement technique that helps players to be placed in an environment that may be more suited for their development. Physical, mental, social, their emotional. Hell, even their just transportation needs at some point with a single mom who's working 2 jobs and can only get their 2 boys to 1 session. Can't get them to 2, so we'll age exempt the 1 player so that they can play together and it's efficient for the family to try and be inclusive. There is a process that this goes through in terms of emailing the clubs, or the clubs email each other and say, hey, we've got age exempt players on these rosters, yada, yada, yada. And that has been revised. This is typically, and this is new for this season, only going to be accessible to Q3 and Q4 born players to alleviate what's called the relative age effect. So because I was born in December, I essentially had to catch up 12 months from birth to all of my peers, whether it's in school or footy or any other sport. That relative age effect, that if I would have just chilled inside mom for another 22 or 24 days, I would have been the oldest and at the best advantage in the next age group. So we're looking to eliminate that a little bit and to allow flexibility there. The expectations are around clubs are using this for developmental activities and purposes. In all 3-4 years, however long this has been around in CMSA so far, we've received 1 team that was complained against hard enough that we went out and watched, and that's where we started to revise things a little bit. But the standard of play wasn't actually that much different from the players who were age exempt and the players who weren't on the other team. So there is some flexibility there. Playing into those standards that I talked about from Canada Soccer, there are goal and field standards. So for all the U10 and 11 games in a 7-a-side format, the goals are 6 feet tall by 12 feet wide. I'm going to be really clear about this. 6 feet by 12 feet. Okay? Proportionately, this is to give kids that play in goal a reasonable experience at playing in goal. It also mimics the size of goal for the player, for the outfield players. So they're not shooting on an 8 by 24, 11-a-side goal with this Frodo-sized hobbity goalkeeper in there. And anytime you hit it above the top half of the goal, it goes in. That's not how goals are scored in the modern or future game. So how do we give them a realistic experience and a good experience as well? So these are club supplied. If you're showing up to fields and they're not 6 by 12, shoot us a quick message. Not to throw people under the bus, but then it raises our level of awareness as well to then go and ask the question and say, how can we support you? What do we need to do to help you with this? Okay. There's also field standards, okay, in terms of maximum and minimum lengths and maximum and minimum dimensions as well in terms of width. Okay. This is all refined. This actually gets sent out to the people who do the line marking as well. So this should be standardized, should be. When you show up to a field for your game and the grass isn't cut, call 311. All of your games will be scheduled on community fields. So the city of Calgary is the one who maintains them. Your clubs or the clubs are the ones who line them and supply the goals. Okay? Complex system, we know, but this is what we live in right now. Along with a smaller goal and smaller fields, there are modified laws of the game. Okay, we'll talk about dribble-ins, free kicks are indirect. The U10s and 11s, you'll have proper substitutions at a stoppage. There are penalty kicks and the retreat line, and I'm going to dive into what the retreat line is right now. Okay, there is a video resource on our YouTube if you forget all of this and you want to review it, if you want to share it. When there's a discrepancy at the field, you can review it and hear it straight from the horse's mouth live in person. Okay? Why do we need it? Well, as I've already said, sport changes and evolves all the time, and we need to prepare players for the future game. Modern and potentially future styles of the game will likely, and I don't have a crystal ball, but will likely revolve around maintaining possession of the ball and coordinated build-up from the goalkeeper, if not with the goalkeeper involved as well. And in the future game, we know with all of the trends that every player is going to be required to make appropriate decisions based on numerous cues from the match, while having the ability to maintain possession through the thirds and under consistent pressure. That is a massive run-on sentence. What does that mean? The game's going to get faster. You're going to have to recognize where space is, where teammates are, where opponents are, where advantages are much quicker. And we've got to do it in a coordinated manner. And so what we did is we looked at this in terms of a retreat line through Dan Abraham's psychosocial model, okay, where it prioritizes out of the 4 corners of development, the mental, social, emotional corner the most. Because if you get that right, it will fuel technical, tactical, and physical outcomes. And when you exist in a culture that does this, participation leads to progression, which leads to performance. Okay? Bunch of fancy words saying we want kids to be mentally safe, socially comfortable, and emotionally stable, and then they'll strike a ball better. Then they'll see an overload or understand a system. Then they'll be more robust. So we broke this down. What are the outcomes that we're looking for across these 4 corners? Okay, and why are we wanting these things? Well, these are really important for that future state of the game. Okay, for continued physical literacy, for improved agility, balance, coordination. You can read through it. Again, there's a video resource on YouTube that you can hit pause on that. The data supports this as well. The Scottish FA, you will get more sequences of passes when a retreat line is used. Okay, when it's not used, you'll see here even in U9, right? 89% of possession strings are less than 3 passes. Well, that's not going to help in the future game, right? So there's data to back that up. New Zealand ran a big study as well. They have more money to spend on this stuff than we do. So we steal their research rather than trying to replicate it, okay? Only 20% of all long kicks from goalkeepers are successful, resulting in controlled possession in the middle third of the pitch. So when I go out and I watch a 7-a-side game and I see a goalkeeper just launch it all the time, I want to go over to the coach and string them up by their neck and go, what are you doing? Not that you have to build out of the back all the time, but there is a certain style of play that's going to lead to more success and more development through your players. You can read the rest of those as well, but there's an increase in playing out from the back from 23% to 76%. Very, very important. Defensively, it helps as well because then your team can regain a defensive position. You can institute some tactics, some pressing triggers, etc., in a coordinated fashion. What was the feedback like from the coaches and players that utilized it? Well, you can see that it was positive. It's easy to understand. It's easy for coaches to understand. Positive impact on their team's playing style, etc., etc., etc. So what is it and how does it function? Uh-oh, there's a question. Let me see. Here, I will work through this question here, okay? Here's the scenarios. There's 2 scenarios when the retreat line comes into play, right? On a goal kick, when the ball leaves the goal area, goal hasn't been scored. It's a goal kick, right? We expect the red team here to get behind the retreat line, okay? Which right now is the halfway line. It will become 1/3, okay? It's not there yet. Our rules state that as the ball exits the penalty area or is touched by a teammate, good, exits the penalty area, the red team can go and look to press and win the ball back. Okay? There are people who are like, wait a minute, we'll find a loophole in this rule. No problem. If a goalkeeper plays it into someone who's inside the goal area, so same scenario, goal kick, right? Inside the goal area, again, it's touched by a teammate, then the retreat line is no longer active and the red team can go and press. There's going to be someone who finds the next loophole, and I'll just give it to you. The next loophole is the goalkeeper rolls it inside their own penalty area and no one touches it. What happens then? Well, the referees have been instructed to just hand out yellow cards for unsporting behavior at the end of the day, because you're just not being a decent sporting human at that point. We don't need to put that into rules. We just need to teach kids to play the game. The second scenario is when there's a free kick to the defending team inside their penalty area. What does that look like? We'll say a through ball, red team fouled the blue team before they have possession. Good. Foul inside their penalty area. Red team retreats again as well. Okay. And again, as it exits the penalty area or is touched by a teammate, then the retreat line is off and the red team can go and look to press and win the ball back. Okay. Other options, because people say, well, Jordan, you're just making everyone play out of the back right now. No, not saying that at all. If there are opportunities and good situations to play long, play long. No problem. This could be a great goal scoring opportunity if the ball is played into space, because they're essentially 1v1 with the goalkeeper there. So no problem. Play direct and play from there. No issue. That's about the goalkeeper recognizing the cue and making sure that they can execute based on that cue. Other options is play short, right? You'll see there, if I go back one, this player is now marked, right? So they should recognize that cue and the goalkeeper can play short and look to play out. An infraction with the retreat line looks like this, because we've shown you what best practice looks like. We need to show you what worst practice looks like. Really simple. Goal kick and the red team's not behind the retreat line. What you will hear is you'll hear the referee blow their whistle, give some instruction, move that red team back behind the retreat line and look to resume play. Okay? I'm going to stop there quickly and sorry that you have to leave right when it's getting interesting. That's disappointing because I thought the rest of it was very interesting, but maybe that's just me. In practice, this rule works well. It does level things out. This age group, most goalies. Cool. Sounds good. Thank you. If it's my team's ball and the other team has to retreat, can some of my players enter past the retreat line if it's a goalie kick? Yep. Your ball, you can go and spread out. There's no offsides in the 7-a-side format either. Okay. And away we go. Last season, color jersey, same as the referee, light blue. No problem. We'll put on some bibs and make sure that we can try and get that sorted. Okay. Dribble in. What does a dribble in look like? Why is it important? Well, a dribble in looks like this correctly. Player enters the field, takes a minimum of that many touches. 2 touches. What this gets, again, tweaked to is touch inside the field and then a pass. Well, technically, that's a minimum of 2 touches. That kind of looks and feels like a pass in, but that's what our dribble in is right now. Okay. So yes, coaches, players, everyone finds loopholes to side skirt things. Key bits here is around getting the game restarted quickly, allowing for more 1v1 interactions, giving players an opportunity to slow down and identify, is a 1v1 on right now, or do I dribble somewhere else? And out of the how many loads of games now that I've witnessed with the U10s and 11s, you're actually seeing some players that are quite savvy and clever, where the ball will roll out of play. They'll have a look, notice that the defending team is switched off, put the ball down, dribble it in quickly, and create a goal scoring chance really, really quickly and find advantages. So the players are getting smarter. The players are becoming more Latin American, more South American, more street smart about the game. And at the end of the day, it's about outwitting and outsmarting your opponent. Incorrect is a pass in. It's there, whack. I hit it in first touch. Referee will blow it down, bring it back, and offer a correction that then the player can look to dribble in and engage. Okay? If you score a goal from a dribble in, which shouldn't happen because, again, it's not a pass in. But if you score from that, it's considered an indirect restart. So it will come back. The referee will blow their whistle. You will get an opportunity to correct things and look to play. There was a pre-question around The game takes so long to get going again with a dribbling because it's not done correctly. Okay? We know that it's a minimum of 2 touches. I need to understand how much more simple we can make this to get the game restarted quickly, because in the games that I've watched, the game does get restarted quite quickly. Ball is down, a player's looking, and they can play. As opposed to throw in, that they're looking around. Their physical literacy might be quite poor. Foul throw in, then it's thrown way down the line. The ball's got to be retrieved and restarted again after the referee says, no, we don't like that. Okay? So that's why the dribble in. Okay? An infraction that could happen is when the opponent's too close. So they have to be a minimum of 3 meters back. So you'll hear the referee blow their whistle, back them up 3 meters, and then play can resume. Okay? And we would expect players to be able to then dribble in any sort of fashion. All right? I swear I'm almost done. My throat's probably hurting as much as your ears are right now. So thank you for the patience and thank you for going the distance right now. We get questions like this all the time. Where does the money go? Where does the money go? Well, here's how much it costs. This is what CMSA brings in on a per player basis from the club, right? U10s, Dev, and Dev Plus are slightly different. Out of those funds, we pay ASA. Okay, so we pay ASA $10 per player. Good, so that is our CMSA fee. Price per match day is that much. Divide by 10. Apologies. I didn't actually divide the Dev Plus by 14. I just moved the decimal over, divided by 10. So that's actually less on the Dev Plus there. Again, the saw is rusty. Sorry, I'll improve it for next year. Player fees. League costs. Okay, the majority of these fees that we collect go towards booking fields, paying referees, and other league-related expenses. There's a small portion that goes to contributing towards future facility projects and upgrades, like the Shane Holmes West Soccer Dome renovation that you'll notice is no longer 4 boarded fields. It is now a FIFA Pro quality turf field. The Shoal Ice Bubble facility, this is where that money goes. There's a portion that goes back to kids sports, player assistance program, to keep sport accessible for everyone. Kids sport, I believe, is now up to almost $1 million a year just in funds for soccer. Soccer is the biggest recipient of kids sport funding out of any sport, and especially Calgary minor soccer. It is wild how much kids sport help us out and help out families. Alberta Soccer, as I've said, and Canada Soccer take a small portion of that, and then a small portion helps to pay for CMSA, the staff, etc., to ensure that we try to run it as efficiently as possible and we continue to innovate. People will laugh and say that's not very efficient at all. Well, trust me, we're trying and we're continuing to work at that. If your child becomes injured, okay, go see a doctor and get a doctor's note and diagnosis. You need that to start the process. The other thing you have to do is go on Alberta Soccer's website, because that's who the insurance provider works through and works with. We are a recipient of that. You have to fill out all of the forms and paperwork within 30 days of that injury. Okay? If you've got personal insurance funds, they'll use that first, obviously, and then Alberta Soccer's insurance kicks in after that personal money runs out. Okay, we know that physio and rehab expenses can be costly and add up quite quickly and exhaust some of those funds. So if your child or when your child gets hurt, please go through this process and make sure that you do that. Okay, I am going to play one more video at the end. And I don't know if the sound transferred from the last video, so hopefully this one does. Oh, it was? Okay, good. Things start now. Everything starts now and starts in a few days for you and most of your kids, right? I'll leave you with this video. Excellent. So it all starts now. Great behavior, kids enjoying the game, referees enjoying their development experience through refereeing, coaches coaching, and loads of games are about to start up. So it starts now. I'm really excited for this season. I feel like we've gone through a massive period of change. We're starting to get a lot of traction. We're starting to really see some results of these things. And I couldn't be more excited for the outdoor 2025 season. I'll leave you, and I will get to the questions in the chat. I'll leave you with this image because the image on the left is, I think, where we started 4 or 5 years ago with clubs going off in whatever direction all the time. Before club licensing, before certain standards, before expectations, before things. And we are moving into the right side of that image where people are starting to pull the game in a similar direction. It's actually really, really, really inspiring and amazing working with the technical leaders of the clubs because they're getting it. And they're good people trying to do really, really good work. Okay? We're trying to move the game forward in a cohesive manner. If you want, please give us a follow on these socials. We do update them. We do share information there as well. We love an email as well if you get those from us. Please make sure that we're not in your junk folder or spam because we do send out a lot of key information there, and good stuff goes through there. And lastly, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for tonight. Thank you for your curiosity. Thank you for your investment. Thank you for giving your kids hopefully a wonderful experience through soccer and through sport. The game will change lives, and I truly believe that, for the better or for the worse. So we're working really hard to make sure it's for the better, and that's our goal. So I'll dive back into some of the questions in the chat. If you don't have any other questions, I just appreciate your time tonight. I guess you can get back to your recording of Love Island or Dancing with the Stars or whatever it was that you missed tonight. And just thank you for giving up some time because you could have been anywhere in the world doing anything and you chose to spend it with us. So truly, truly appreciate your time and investment. Quick question. How does CMSA plan to ensure teams are registering for the correct tier? I hate the word tier.
Answered that one, Jordan. Sorry.
Okay.
I'll send you down to the ones that I didn't answer. Why does the club do dribbles in for games, but all tournaments do throw-ins?
Yeah, it's a great question. So this is, again, part of that alignment piece that Canada Soccer is working through with their grassroots standards. They are asking for, and it's going to become a requirement that dribbling and passing is going to be what these age groups do. We are an early adopter of this. And so if you go to a tournament in Edmonton or Vegas or who knows wherever, because Calgary teams seem to travel all over the place all of the time, you will find different rules because that massive alignment hasn't happened yet. We've been a massive supporter, us, Nova Scotia. There's been a few other kind of areas that have really dove in and really driven this and spearheaded it, that some are just behind. And it's okay, but they're just behind. That's why you're going to see U10s, a tournament in, I don't know, North Battleford, Saskatchewan, having throw-ins, right? And keeping scores and standings and all of these other things with no retreat line. Like, the other groups come here and they play in these tournaments and they deal with the dribble-ins or the weird and wacky a little bit. And so they get a different experience as well. Eventually, this is going to do this because it's very much like this right now. It's that last image with all of the arrows going all over the place. Eventually, it will be one arrow going one direction. Okay?
Okay, next one. Michelle, you might need to elaborate if you're still here. How does that work for U10 and U11 if there are no standings for this age group? I don't remember what slide or what we were talking about when that question was asked.
Okay. How does it work for you if there are no standings for this age group? I'll wait and see if Michelle gets after it again. Lost hours of playing time because the girls could not get the rule right. It kept kicking it in and having to blow the game down over and over. It's painful to watch. Could have been because we're a U9 team playing up in U10. I think we're answering our own questions here a little bit. So dribble in, minimum 2 touches. Don't just whack the ball in. It's not a kick in. It's not a pass in, it's a dribble in for right now. Okay, right? So I can appreciate that. It's just coaching. Girls, take 2 touches. Maybe I'm a bit naive there, but maybe we can connect offline and I can come out and watch and maybe help as well. Thanks very much. Thank you. I believe you said earlier plans to move to a pass in. When's that expected to happen? We'll be working with the clubs to figure out when that implementation is. All of those bits become a part of Canada Soccer's rules and regulations as of 2026. So I would expect either in the indoor season or for the next outdoor season, in terms of indoor 25-26 or outdoor 26, is when that passing gets refined, and what that looks like. I'm working with some of the clubs to get their feedback as well, and to really try and get that sorted and get it aligned and then communicated well. Tournament wise, we were going down to Montana and they don't allow headers for below U13. Yeah, the American landscape and the litigious nature, I would say, of things down there, and the stance that U.S. soccer has taken in terms of heading, is kind of an across the board piece, I believe, within the States. When I talk to Canada Soccer, and Dave Nutt, Canada Soccer is working on heading regulations right now for youth players. So you can expect to see something rolling out, probably in the coming future. What that timeline is, I'm not 100% sure, and I don't want to try and comment on that because I'm not the one who's either responsible or developing that right now. When we're taking tournament placements, Melissa, it looks like you've answered that. Kids struggle with correct throws, least dribblings, incurring passing flow. Appreciate the comment. Can I take videos of my son's games? So the videos of games, we get a handful of emails probably every single year saying someone was taking a video. Should they be? What's the policy? Where is that? At the end of the day, you're allowed to film anyone in a public setting at any time. Okay, so when we talk about that, I would say best practice around this, if you've got, I don't know, a VO, a camera that's, that is very apparent, just ask the coaches. Hey, I'm more than happy to share the footage with you. More than happy to you can pass it to all of your players. They can create little Instagram videos. They can do whatever they want with it, but work maybe in a collaborative manner, to try and build that out, right? There's nothing that says you can't video, right? So until that day happens, I guess get bigger hard drives and enjoy videoing in public, right? Where are all the resources you mentioned in the presentation? Ahmed, maybe send me an email about what you're looking for specifically. I'll drop my email into the chat here, and you can shoot me an email personally, and we can discuss any of the resources or maybe what exactly you're looking for. Question about, can the second touch on a pass in be a shot? Just wanted to confirm. Or pass shot. Well, it's an indirect restart. So any indirect restart, if it's a shot and it goes in, well, it's coming all the way back. So shooting's probably not the best option, in that restart. So no, shooting's not really an option. It's a dribble in. It's not a shoot in. It's not a kick in. The language is really, really deliberate. The word pass is very, very deliberate, not kick in, because then there's some intent behind it. There's a mentality. Another question there. I've heard that tournaments may not have scores results recorded for U11 and lower. Is this something that might be happening? It's a great question. As you saw within the Canada Soccer grassroots standards, no scores, no standings in tournaments either. So I would expect that to start slowly happening. Whether that happens overnight, I'm not too sure. But the way that will likely be policed or cracked down on is all tournaments get sanctioned by provincial governing bodies. And so it's that provincial governing body that's going to look at it and look at that sanctioning application and go, wait a minute, are there scores and standings? Check yes or check no. This is an example or an idea. Yes, there still is. Like, we're not sanctioning it then, right? There will be mechanisms in place to get some compliance, I would assume, but it's again dependent on your provincial leadership, your district leadership in terms of what that looks like. And here's the other piece. Everyone knows that people are really hungry to compare one kid and one team against another, especially at really young age groups, which again boggles my mind a little bit. But what you'll see happen is you'll see tournaments and tournament organizers, the first ones to say, hey, no scores, no standings, but here's a different concept. I'm actually going to assume that they're going to be punished because everyone loves a shiny piece of metal at the end of a weekend. And what you'll see is people holding on in terms of tournament organizers, districts, clubs, whatever, to scores and standings to keep registration and tournament funds flowing in there. So you will see a divide happening, and you'll see early adopters get slated, get punished for these kinds of things. My opinion, right? My opinion. We're going to work pretty hard, I think, with Alberta Soccer to have a coordinated approach to something like this and make sure that there is alignment through that system. And thanks, Melissa, for answering that as well. Indirect shooting, what if it touches the hands of the keeper before going in? I love when people find all of the loopholes and try and figure this stuff out. It's great. If we spend all of our time and energy into how can we develop better players rather than how can we find loopholes, I don't know what we would be capable of. But sure, well done. Yeah, if it touches another player, I guess it counts as a goal. Excellent. Congratulations. And yet again, like, it's cool, no problem. We just have to continually keep adjusting and refining things, and that just gets boring and annoying at some level. Not to be the downer, can't wait for this to be on YouTube. Are these standards you've set out something that clubs and coaches have to read and sign off prior to the season starting? This to ensure everyone's aware of the rules and standards to help get everyone on the same page. Would love a system like that. If you are an IT expert, if you could build systems like that, please reach out to us. We would love to speak to you. Here's the reality, and it might be an odd reality or a sad reality. We're literally getting emails today from people saying, I don't even know what team my kid is on or what their practice schedule is. So you can imagine if that's the environment some of these kids are in right now, and if that's you, then I'm really sorry that that's the state that you're in terms of uncertainty. I can only imagine that there's probably no coach in place as well. So then what happens over the next 3 or 4 days in terms of getting them the proper training and to make them eligible, et cetera, that now we're going to ask you to read through all of the rules. We're adults at some level, and just because it might be a volunteer position to be a coach or a team official, it doesn't mean that we can do it unprofessionally. So there's certain standard that that's expected when you put your hand up or when you're guilt tripped into doing some of these things. And we hope that people take it seriously. We hope that people do their due diligence, and we hope that when people don't know, that they have the humility to say, sorry, I didn't know that. So there's a lot of bits there. Beat a dead horse, saw an opportunity to dribble in quick and goes up the sideline and shoots. Would that count or not count? People love a shoot in. It's a dribble in. Go and play 1v1. Dribble the ball in, get the game restarted as quickly as we can. If you shoot and it doesn't hit anyone, it's coming all the way back. If your kid's really, really savvy, then that's great. I believe what our rules say is you can't score directly from a dribble in. So this is a great opportunity to go and read the rules. There's modified laws of the game on our website. Become familiar with them. Then find all of the loopholes for your kid and coach them how to become even more savvy and clever. No problem with that. No scores, no standings is great. Awesome. I appreciate the comment, Monica. That's great. You'll notice as well something that I didn't mention in terms of Canada Soccer's grassroots standards. Fair playing time for all players and to be trying all positions as well. What we find at older age groups is we find the clubs constantly contact us and say, we don't have any goalkeepers. We need you to change the rules because we don't have goalkeepers. And we say, what have you done at U9, U10, U11, U12, U13, etc., to make sure that you might have 2 or 3 people on your team that want to give goal a try? So if someone's sick or away on vacation or whatever, and that's their first choice goalkeeper, well, you better have someone else that can step in. It's no different as a right back or as a central midfielder or as a center forward, anything else. They have no problem finding call-ups for those positions, but it's always the goalkeeper position that seems to be a challenge. So again, try different positions, try things, experiment, see what's going to work for you and as your child. Okay? We will hang around for maybe another couple of minutes. If there's 1 or 2 last questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. If not, you can always reach out to us at any time via any of these methods. I'll show it one more time on the screen. You'll see the info box is usually the easiest, and then it'll get filtered and directed to the right person. Because if it's not sent to the right person initially, you're just going to get filtered and sent there anyway. So info is usually a pretty safe bet and an easy one to remember there in terms of contact. Okay. That was a marathon tonight. So thanks for the 19 of you left and going the distance. Really, really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to seeing everyone on the pitch this summer. If you see me around the field, please come up, introduce yourself. Feel free, ask questions, have a conversation, anything. More than happy to connect and to discuss. If you are tuning into another town hall this week, the first portion of that is going to be the same. Okay, so I'll maybe try and save you some time. Tune in later rather than right on kickoff, because that is the standard. Here's everything that we're doing for everyone, and then it becomes the more age specific. So yeah, just an awareness there. Okay. I'm going to shut things down tonight. I'm going to end this and just wish you all the best for this upcoming season. And thanks so much for the time tonight and for being curious. And again, if there's any questions, feel free to reach out at any time. Thanks very much, everyone. Have a great evening.